better. Whereas that last game, BLG did make some really nice plays. They made attacking an Ezreal look really easy between the Knight, Silas, and the Bin Jack. So it was really fun to see.
Really fun to see us jump into that Game 4 draft here, like you called out. Cubby, ThunderTalk on the blue side. BLG got to get back, likely back-to-back red side wins, at least here in game number 4. Skarner banned away as the red side, just staple. Callista still being taken away from Elk, from ThunderTalk. Expect that to go all series long. Is you also still expecting an Abessa ban to come out here before we get to picks?
Yep. Yeah, there it is. The Victor ban, I will say, potentially looking for opening up an Orianna for Knight. Victor is a strong pick, but one of the picks left that like the Ori matchup's okay. You just like Ori has to make plays in a Victor, so if not, you just kind of get outscaled. So curious if Knight does end up looking for something like that trusty Orianna or Cinder that we know that he has, as Wukong being banned out. Yeah. Also chance, I mean, Maokai, really big jungler that's left on the table, but the Caitlyn ban and a lot of the answers for MF being off the board, that's going to be taken. This might force Ziggs out from Elk and BLG early. As, yeah, Maokai for me is expected pick, yeah.
Yeah, they're the Maokai, the Jace,
Ooh.
Jinx. So I like it because as good as Maokai can be in the jungle of everything you've already talked about, Cubby, it's just the perfect way to buy space for Jinx later on in the game to create another monster hyper carry for Elk. Do you think, though, we've seen some Jinx Maokai in the bottom lane. You expect this jungle, though, correct?
It's flexible, for sure.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good flag, actually, especially as we have a lot of those engaged supports now missing. Curious if we just have Feather, like, willing to slam something like an Alistar. We'll say that Maokai is actually a pick that you can play into Alistar, but keep in mind that that's really the last big tank support that we have that's up, unless you want to start getting into the hook champions like Blitz, Nod, or Thresh. So that pool's been really narrowed, and with an MF, really expecting to see some form of CC in the bot lane for Feather.
Already going to pair next to that Viego. We called it out before we went to break, right? Viego, a big player. You mentioned it for Wei, but whoever's drafting it, that is the player you got to play the comp around, right? Resets, resets, resets. And it's so poetic that we get two, the king and queen, I would say, of resets in League of Legends in the same game going against each other.
Here's Lulu. If they pick Lulu, ban Blitzcrank. You got to put some respect on Feather's Blitzcrank.
Yeah.
Take that one away. I think that if I'm ThunderTalk, I want to think about getting rid of Renekton. Just having like that strong early game front line can really mess with Viego resets too for Ben and kind of be a bridge to get this Jinx Lulu later in the game. Also, Azir really benefits off of that attack speed steroid from Lulu as well. I think people sometimes really forget about that. I think Azir goes up in value this game for Knight, as Lulu can then have two options to W as you go through this. So yeah, I like that respect ban coming out from ThunderTalk.
Blitzcrank, there it goes. So the Game 4 Feather Blitzcrank was a deciding factor in the early game for their win over LG. Nice to see that one taken away. Azir banned, so just taking away good matchups into Ahri, I feel like. Comfortable champions for Knight. Not a bad pool pinch approach.
Yeah, okay. Ori ends up getting banned. I was actually going to tease maybe a Ryze ban coming out. But Ori going to be taken away. Curious if Knight wants to go for something like Ryze. It's an old school matchup in the Ori, but I like it a lot. Also think Lissandra actually has a lot of value this game for Knight. Also decent into the Ori, so another option that we have. But yeah, and Ryze just gives you this point-and-click route that's really strong. Synergizes really well with Jinx and trying to protect this front line and Lulu in the back. So really big front line to get through for ThunderTalk. And frankly, the comp they have right now, they don't have the people to do it. And Hoya doesn't have the pool to help with it either. So I actually really like this from BLG.
You're not mistaken, folks. That is not a Doinby Ryze. It's a Knight Ryze. What a treat. Two just premier players in the LPL.
I think it's going to be Hoya Poppy, Blind, and then a Seraphine support. Seraphine gives you some really nice reach and some good setup with Hoya. I would also really like Bard, actually. I think both of these picks being considered for ThunderTalk can really help round out their composition. And Poppy somewhat dissuades from a Renekton, as Ryze Renekton does have really good reach in side lanes, and Renekton gives you some of that early power that can be nice. So, I mean, you're just trying to get Jinx Lulu into the later stages, right? So, yeah. See what Ben ends up going for. Of course, game 4 Fearless, a lot of things off the board. Choice to be made here for Ben, and actually considering a top Maokai into the Poppy and away Lee Sin potentially. I don't know if I love Lee though in a game where Poppy exists.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
You can really just can punish one, ward hop. You can punish one Sonic Wave in and really neutralize Wei. And that's how this series kicked off, right? Was Wei picking a pivotal pick, the Zyra, and ThunderTalk made it a mission to make sure the guy never got in a groove. Ends up going 0-7-2 on the Zyra. So ThunderTalk maybe look to repeat similar strategy. The interesting thing about this game, though, is there is some early game onus on both teams, especially on ThunderTalk, but a lot of these both these teams are kind of playing for the later part of the game, I feel like.
Yeah, I think ThunderTalk, they're the ones that are on a bit more of a timer, but
yeah, 100%.
Seraphine, like, it's double Enchantress supports, right? So, like, some of the power of, like, a Seraphine on the scaling doesn't exist as much in this one for me, because a lot of times you just see Seraphine into, not Enchantresses. It does have a lot of range, though. It just really is on, like, they need to get the first kill for Ari Viego to really run fights, and it is on BLG to play defense for that. What I do like for BLG's comp, the ability for Ryze Lee Sin to attack an Ari, especially pre-6, is really high. So I want to see BLG really play through mid, play through Knight's Ryze, get him going, and then use that to try and snowball to the bot lane and help get that Jinx Lulu going. I think that the mid-jungle duo for BLG is really acting as a bridge this game to get the Maokai Jinx Lulu into the rest of it.
Bounce back games for Wei in particular. Really impressed by his Nocturne, but it has been nothing but easy for Wei and BLG today. But it's still a mountain and uphill climb for the two-time defending champions here at ThunderTalk on the table to upset and crown themselves champions of Group C. They got 2 more shots at it. Let's head to their first bullet here. Summoner's Rift once more for Game 4.
We're letting them ring here for Game 4. It's been an exciting series. As ThunderTalk, of course, taking the first 2 games. Really threw a wrench into the game plan. That is spotted by Ben. Do want to highlight, I mean, again, I think it's just really on Knight to get things. It's funny. Knight actually did opt for the Ghost this game. I've been kind of advocating for some more combat sums in mid, just because before you get empowered TP, like the difference between walking back and TPing back to mid is like only a couple creeps, depending on what ends up happening with the wave. Ghost on Ryze and the phase rush as well. Just a lot of move speed going to be available for Knight, as we will have a bit of a mirrored clear. Hoya prepping for the lane swap scenario, going to be the first to attack Knight. Meanwhile, Ben might be looking to push Beichuan off the Raptors, but not gonna do so.
Hoya just trying to be
actually really nice. Knight might miss XP. Oh, that was really nice from Ben, actually. That Bramble Smash pushed the creeps back from the turret and guaranteed that Knight was able to get all the XP from this wave. I still think he might have missed. I can't tell. It looks like he missed 1 melee creep of XP. It's different between him and SeTab. So still a win, the fact that Hoya was able to push him out.
Go for those vertical clears. Both junglers hugging towards their bottom lanes. Important to remember, as much as we are critical of potentially how impactful the Wei Lee Sin can be, definitely has a lot more onus compared to the Viego earlier on. If you're Beichuan, you want to farm up, wait for that Heartbreaker to come up and really start lining the map up then. So all eyes on where Wei decides to path here, especially once top laners are forced to match these lane swaps.
Oh, Beichuan's running straight up top. He's ditching his topside camps. They might look to dive in.
Too.
That's hard. It is tough to dive a Maokai. I think 4 is required. They gotta win a wave.
But the wave is thinning.
Yeah, great play by Ben.
Calls it up.
They will stop the base, and they're going to try and dive. It's going to try and be a 3-man dive with Poppy, and they're going to rely on the wall bang to really be able to hit it. This is awkward, though, because like they're really pulling this wave out.
Okay, we're going to get the snare, get some laying down damage. The twisted advance is going to be big here for Ben. If he can dodge out. Heal thrown down for the speed up. Goes down for the smash. He's getting poked down before he can even really get the twisted advance through. He's going to use it on the minions, but the aggro is not even picked up by anyone on ThunderTalk.
Nice.
So they've done a really good job juggling this and forcing Bin into an uncomfortable spot. Doesn't burn the flash. Does end up getting the trade, though, with that freshly buffed up turret of Season 15.
That's really tough, too, because that play took so long to evolve. Look at bot. 3 plates taken. God. Hoya will TP in, but that's a lot of gold early onto the Jinx. Only 1 plate in the pockets of 1xN up top, and the push between both marksmen, just having the attack speed steroid on Jinx's Q versus, you know, MF, you have to auto different things to get that max damage given, you know, how her kit works. Really big difference here in the push that we've seen. Not to mention just the reinforced turrets being a little bit different. Actually, kind of a rough start here for ThunderTalk. Despite the trade of kills, I think BLG is in much better shape early on.
That only buys them more space later on.
Yeah.
With Ryze and Jinx just the closers for this game of BLG, Knight and Elk. It's ThunderTalk that have to continue to find proactivity. They definitely are waiting on a lot of their ultimates, but SeTab might get caught here. The root comes across. Wei was waiting. Yep. They were looking for a reset instead. They find themselves a free kill onto the TT mid laner.
Yeah, big mistake there from SeTab. Just still not respecting the strength on each side of the map. He's on the weak side of the map there, and talked about how Ryze Lee Sin, it's really, really, really easy to attack Ahri pre-6. You just drop the Empowered Rune Prison, and Lee Sin gets the full combo. Like, it makes it really, really easy to convert kills. So well played from Wei. Using the Maokai counter pick to really at least warp how this mid-jungle matchup works. With the W down, Hoya might be under threat here again.
Dashes into Wei, but On was nearby to cover him. He's only just going to slow down this Krug's clear. Hoya going to eat another Sonic Wave, dash in from Wei. Shield comes across for the Poppy passive, so not going to be lethal. But Wei certainly being annoying, and more importantly, buying space for Elk to farm another turret plate.
I mean, if SeTab completes this walk, that's, yeah, no way that's going to happen. BLG respecting the fact that SeTab fogged, does get that control word down to at least give himself some more protection, but still, tough start. And kind of what I talked about early on with BLG trying to play through mid. Already converted the kill on the SeTab. I think it was smart that SeTab at least didn't burn his flashlight. I mean, he was dead to rights in the mid lane, so might be able to outplay the next play, but still, feels like between that and the lane swap being opted into by TT, and the fact that BLG has got the better lane to lane swap in, 4 plates on Jinx early and being this far ahead, that's a big deal, as Elk looking like he's rushing towards that Yuntals.
And Ben's just happy to eat up all this pressure on the tank Maokai top, right? You don't need any resources to be useful. There's another really good start for BLG in the early game. It's where both teams have found, when they've found success here, they've been able to really carry it on. ThunderTalk not being as clean. They're going for a pick here on a 1xN with the Realm Warp in. Brings his friends. They get the slow, beautiful setup with that Ryze ultimate. Gets Elk his first kill of the game, but he's got to be a bit careful. He ran himself into a trap, but he's fine.
It's so tough because, like, Beichuan's not 6, and yeah, you want to fight and get resets like at this timer for TT, but I don't know if they can answer it with BLG, and the fact that TT matches the play, they're still down numbers, they're not farming anywhere else, they're missing out on so much in the map. Where BLG, like, they are making an overload of play. They could punish. As Hoya,
and they catch out Hoya. Gets a heal, gets a big speed up from the Seraphine. Zap going to land, though, onto SeTab. Going to have to use that Spirit Rush to create more space. Beichuan did steal away the first grub, so nobody's getting a feat of monster slaying. Charm going to land, connect onto Knight. The bolt time does go down, but it just splits the upright. All of BLG mark themselves around it, and now Elk gets excited, can just start firing out rockets. ThunderTalk are just falling flat on all their plays that were so successful to kick off this series.
I mean, this game kind of already looks cooked, and the answer for the mid-jungle duo from BLG, seeing the Viego, the Ahri showing this early and being like, hey, we're willing to slam Ryze Lee Sin. I mean, these were matchups that were played a lot, like 3-4 years ago at this point, and I remember, like, just with Ryze Lee Sin, it's so easy to attack early on. I just feel like TT are way over-forcing in this moment. By not having Beichuan 6, I think they really needed Beichuan to find 6 in order to have any chance of actually contesting this or having a winning fight. Fighting before that, getting punished before Ahri hit 6 in mid lane, so SeTab's already behind 2. And then the top lane matchup as well, Bin versus Hoya. If Maokai gets ahead at all against this Poppy, like Maokai just scales to infinity as a champion, and in the top lane, you just get access to more resources. So this is a really, really tough spot already for TT, because I do not favor their team as this one goes on. Just the Jinx Lulu is going to be really what owns the game, as well as Maokai not being able to be moved in this one. So TT needs to get things going earlier, or else this one's going to go to 5.
I felt like they were just leaning so much on the bullet time from 1xN, but it's
Yeah.
always going to fall flat without the setup, like you called out. You don't have a Encore coming down. You're relying on one charm from SeTab. It feels like another shortcoming potentially of this draft. If you're going to B1 Misfortune, I feel like you need a bit more tools to allow to get maximum efficiency out of the bullet time. And right now, the only way to do that is a huge feather engage, it feels like.
Yeah, like, I mean, you're not willing to blind a support, too, like, that can actually combo. I think that hurt a little bit. I mean, tough to blind Alistar Blitzcrank, but also that's what happens when you play MF later on in drafts, right? And you have some of those big supports that do synergize so well with the bullet timer kit missing.
Triple gold lead for BLG. Starting to impose their will towards this bot side as we return to normal ways, but the damage on that turret forces ThunderTalk to guard it closely and
look at the Rise inventory versus the Ahri inventory. That was an 830 Roa, because Knight already has a stack. And yeah, like, he's bootless, but there's no way SeTab's going to do any damage. As what a combo.
The ward hop into the kick Sonic Wave forces SeTab to use the Spirit Rush once again defensively, and buys Knight even more space to just farm up and shove waves down their throat. Yeah,
I mean, that's another wave where he can now threaten Realm Warp in the side. Probably not going to go for it, given that Wei did burn the ult. So do you want to synergize up with him? Rise damage early. Of course, you do go scaling items. His kit's great to set up Lee Sin, other junglers, but he's not going to be doing all the damage on his own. Not to take away from how strong Rise's early game is, but at this point, you know, we're scaling on the items. We need the Lee Sin damage. So BLG is going to posture to toy around bot side, but not going to go for any plays. And frankly, BLG don't need to. This game is that cooked already.
Yeah, they can just sit and wait for more desperation from ThunderTalk. Wei, though, testing the water to see how much he can press on the pressure points here. But even further to reinforce how calm and slow BLG can play, they grab the Feats of Warfare easily, obviously with the scoreline. Grab 2 first neutrals, so one more epic monster or this turret that's already far too low.
Dead.
And as I say it, that's just going to be tier 2 boot upgrades for 11 minutes for BLG.
Yeah, they put Hoya in the sack lane to get SeTab out of mid when he was no ult, no flash with BLG having the space. I got to say, that's not the worst choice from TT, but it does cost them the bot outer. Just trying to protect SeTab while his ult and flash are down, because that's when Ahri is just free food for the Rise Lee Sin.
This is the BLG that we expected to see, the 6-0 BLG in the group so far. As, you know, anticlimactic as it's been compared to the ThunderTalk games, it's very impressive to see BLG in a spot that they've rarely ever been in, right? Knight not having lost a best of 5, rarely ever being down 0-2, got to think based off that stat since 2022.
Deal?
And now they look just so much more back in form. And Elk's going to steal away a grub just to make sure they do get those mites. Bin dropping the Nature's Grass down to single one person out. Good Keeper's Verdict from Hoya gets rid of Bin, but not the damage dealers, as Knight claims himself another kill, and this game continues to spiral further and further.
I mean, like, for how, frankly, one-sided the first 2 games were, BLG is doing the same thing to TT in these 2 as well. And this one might... This one has a chance to be the most dominant one yet, just given the scaling. SeTab, yeah, going to be forced to Realm Warp. Knight, though, ghosting in, the wave crashing. Wave's here.
Yep, and ooh, Wave flashes to try and get more damage down. Eats a charm, but it's just not enough right now with how ahead BLG are. There's the Encore down to find 2 into the bullet time. They do find Wave for the shutdown. Reset comes across for Beichuan, but he can't get the possession. Bin interrupts it long enough to allow himself and his bottom lane to get out. But Knight has to be sacrificed, so ThunderTalk able to punish a bit of over-aggression there from BLG.
Yeah, good play by Feather. The R flash was really big there, but again, you can see the focus, and I just don't know who Ahri's going to kill this game. Like, yes, you want to get on Jinx, but you have to get through a Maokai Rise. You can see like why this matchup is good for Rise. Not just the fact you can punish Ahri this hard 1 through 5, but also you get so tanky with the build that you don't get one-shot by Ahri. So you can walk up and, you know, find the rune prisons, actually find the chunks. Speaking of chunks, 1xN. He's got a BT, but that was a little scary.
He's lucky Elk's out of mana. That Mega Death Rocket, I wonder if he's just sitting on it to see if he gets enough mana for it. That level up should give it over. But by this point, 1xN is far off of the turret.
Yeah, Feather can
does
stand
heal off the Bloodthirster.
Yeah. He was hitting the wraps. He just pulled that to get some health back. So well played for 1xN. But, yeah, I mean, take a look at the replay. Okay, that's how far back we're going. I mean, again, SeTab, like, even if he throws full combo at Knight, how much HP is Knight going to lose in this scenario, especially like, with the items that SeTab was at? This fight's really well played by Knight. Just, you know, being the one that stepped forward. Does have to burn the flash in the end. That's what ends up killing him in the back half. Good combo from Feather to try and answer, but still love between the Polymorph and the Bramble Smash. How much time that they prevented Beichuan from actually getting the reset. Yes, Bin did have to flash to dodge out on the stolen Lee Sin Sonic Wave in the end, but that time was still enough to get the rest of BLG out. That play is okay for them. They're still keeping the pressure up on the map. I mean, this mid-outer is about to fall. We've already seen how winning the Rise into Ahri matchup is. Knight's got that in the top side. Everything looking like it's coming up BLG in this one.
All the engaged tools for ThunderTalk are without their flashes, right? It's going to be a while before we can see another crafty encore fire from Feather. Hoya's flash, we just saw Beichuan have to burn it, so even if they wanted to try, and what they have, ThunderTalk have to do, punish BLG, look for picks onto them, it just feels so impossible to do right now. So they're just trying to overstack towards some of these neutrals. They're attempting to burn through this Dragon Way. Despite it being on a ward, not content going forward. He might just go for himself a solo kill. Not going to take the Sonic Wave, but that mid-tier 1 turret did drop. All Outers turrets drop pre-15 minutes for BLG as they continue their barrage.
Yeah, 4 grubs, get to Lulu empower the Jinx, get that attack speed steroid farmed even higher. In both kits, Elk's pretty far up. He does have access to both summoner spells. You can see TT was... Reset. Yeah, TT was looking. Beichuan.
Oh, Beichuan. Ooh, does bait Wei in pretty far. The charm lands, and they get the root. Wei's picked off. There's another possession. Beichuan going forward, trying to see if he can get a Sonic Wave. SeTab gets the reset on the Spirit Rush. They're pushing the tempo. Charm going to force Elk to cleanse it. Immediately fires out the rocket. Fade away Mega Death Rocket. Finds the kill on the SeTab, but it sacrifices Knight. Beichuan going in. Heartbreaker trying to cut down the angle on. The ThunderTalk will take another couple of kills as they're finding ways to fight back a very grave early game.
Yeah, it's a 2-for-1. BLG, they're trying to knock down that inner, maybe a little bit too far up. So we do have Ben actually TPing in. They're going to think about contesting the Herald in the long run. Knight doesn't have TP. Yeah, no way. Okay. Again, I think TT, like, they have to force now. I don't think things get better for them, so good find. BLG, they're a little bit far up and not respecting some of the power that TT has. Again, I don't think this is a play that you make, just given that the way this game goes with the Jinx Lulu, if you play chill, it's fine. As a way, that's a really greedy play to go for that kick flash when you have Beichuan still have the unstoppable ultimate up. Not the kick flash, the Warthog kick. So you see Beichuan, he popped that ultimate, was still able to get the damage down on the way, and then got kicked the wrong way. So even with that, like it being a 2-for-1 and kind of close to getting Beichuan, it's not all bad for BLG, but definitely a misplay there from Wei to try and go for that play. Really just not respecting the kit there from Viego.
The funniest part of these last couple of plays is that somehow 1xN has found himself first to 2 items over Elk, because the kill allocation's been very good for ThunderTalk.
And Beichuan's up a level and change too. We just saw like 11-9, so that is something where I mean, ThunderTalk have some strength. I still think that this game is very BLG favored, and I expect them to put this one away. But the last couple of skirmishes, ThunderTalk have been able to show a little bit more resistance than what I thought going in. That said, yeah, Maokai...
This got hands!
I don't think Maokai is going to die this game. I'm throwing that out there. It's... I think Ben has to, like, really egregiously to die.
I think it's going to get pretty hard for Knight to die with a fully stacked Roa and the Seraph stun.
Yeah, that too.
Off of a turret dive he thrown out. Keeper's Verdict, not going to find anybody but a couple of lowly caster minions that did not sign up to be punted into the river. Make it back, my friends. Oh, there's only one. He lost his friend. And he's dead. Fun ride, though.
That was, I appreciate that a lot more, given it's 4:20 in the morning where we're at. But, you know.
Listen, we gotta keep the juices flowing. So
I was kind of stuck there for a sec because you said lowly caster median. I was like, oh, you didn't have to do him like that.
Oh my God. Hoya really gets his health bar popped like that. Caster minion trying to get back to the lane. Has to run the flash. So another key engage tool losing his flash. Feels like Hoya's flash has been just always on cooldown.
What's Beichuan cooking over here with the Dirk?
Is that? Are we going? I thought Collector, but there's a Ruby Crystal. So is that Sterak? Does Sterak? No, Sterak doesn't have a dagger.
What's the shield item called? Thality?
Oh.
I think it's that one.
Experimental Hexplate?
Nope.
The
the Thality one that gives you the shield that Varus goes. Anyway, we're clubbing his casters here. Beichuan up. He flash forward.
Oh my God, he flashes to get the stun.
They got away.
Breaks over, somehow gets out, and it's On to die again. Knight's going to fall as well, trying to get back to his Realm Warp. SeTab's flashing after On, waiting for his Charm to come back up. Feather's going to land the root over the wall. Where did this come from? 3 kills out of nowhere for ThunderTalk. They are not going down quietly.
I mean, while we were stuck on what Beichuan's going to build next, why is On there and not with the Jinx? Like, the Jinx Maokai were actually taking the objective. They're doing their job, and meanwhile, BLG just kind of way too far up in the TT jungle, not respecting yet again in a game that, again, I really feel like should be put away cleanly by BLG, given some of the leads they had earlier. A little bit sloppy, a little bit disrespectful in the back half, and TT going to punish rather well. That's 2 outers that are going to fall. I think they dropped the dragon in the back half. They do have to base and respond to what Bin and the rest of BLG were doing just to get some shops. But, man, BLG being this far up, like, we're playing into the power windows of TT by doing this. Again, if we just play out the map pretty standard, the buy time, it's fine. Look at how split we are as BLG, too, with Knight on one side of the wall. He's got a flash over. Way getting stuck by Poppy as Hoya was over that wall. And then On not being synced up with the Jinx just kind of leads to something awkward all around.
That's the second kick from Way, by the way, that
where he died.
He dies and he doesn't
Yeah.
accomplish the kick he wants.
Okay.
First time, Beichuan gets kicked back towards his team. Second time, he actually kicks Beichuan further over the wall away from Knight so that he survives. So this Lee Sin pick, as powerful as early, is in that rough spot you pointed out it might be when we talked about it in draft.
Yeah. Also, all that work, you're like, I think it was going to be Collector.
It was
Collector and not Edge of Night. The Ruby Crystal was just there for change. Yeah.
Okay. Well, a Ruby Crystal will be something. You know, I bet that Ruby Crystal is hysterics.
I hope so. Oh, we're getting a replay. We're getting a replay up here, down at the bottom right.
Rocket reset.
Base cancel. All right, epic.
I mean, it got the Voracious Object. I mean,
It did. Actually, that's nice. We did kind of miss that in the replay. Well played by Elk. I thought it was a meme, but it actually was. That's the value of tempo right there. Good base stop. And now with the strength that they have, ThunderTalk don't want to fight. Of course, any kill that they get, diminishing returns compared to what they would be giving over if BLG were to trade out. So Ocean Dragon goes over to BLG. Feels like they're back under control and playing this one a little bit more soundly. Again, I think that the Maokai Rise, like, neither should be able to be moved from these side lanes, so should just kind of play this one out around them.
It's definitely going to be ThunderTalk
Scary.
getting that initial reset and blowing up everybody but the Maokais. Elk eats a charm. That's the key cleanse, the summoner off the Jinx for now. They do have the revive, so keep that in mind. They might get a little bit more aggressive than you expect, but still have to be somewhat present of mind as they try and herald another tier 2 down.
I mean, look at the levels, though. Just given, like, BLG playing out 3 lanes. Bin's up almost 2 levels on Hoya. Knight is up 2 levels on SeTab. That's disastrous if you are ThunderTalk. So even though with some of the positive plays they've made being able to group, it still feels like ThunderTalk running out of steam. Worth noting, Beichuan up a level and change, and 1xN also up a little bit, so that's okay. But I think that with the solo laners being this big, you can't kill them if you're ThunderTalk, and your comp relies on getting resets. So do think that BLG has done a nice job of getting their resources into the right place in these games, or this game, I should say.
I'm glad to see that ThunderTalk, you know, speaking on the reset point, they don't end. They nearly drop a tier 2 turret. I think they will be fine doing it, because with Voracious Otacon up, like, you cannot fight. You're not getting a Viego reset. It's your entire comp's identity. So through that pretty powerful buff everybody likes to talk about, they don't really lose much except tempo and map control, which you'll take in the face of that buff as it ticks away off of all 5 members of BLG.
Yeah, I mean, still, like,
turret.
BLG were able to play out 3 lanes and take a lot on the map. So it's not, like, disastrous, but I still feel like BLG got more. And frankly, again, given the draft they have, I do think that's the right way to play it. Like, at this point, if you're playing out 3 lanes and then just use Ryze to make plays, that's good. Even like what Knight's doing here, like, he dropped bot to try and look, maybe make a play on the Bin. The topside camps are spawning for Beichuan, so they can answer. And Bin, you can go catch bot and threaten TP on the way back. So I think BLG are doing a nice job with Knight, because, of course, he doesn't have TP this game. So shifting him into the waves where he can catch and still be impactful on the map and just playing around the Ryze, it is a very important part of this game for BLG, given the setup that Knight opted for, and I think they're doing it pretty well.
Love the observers toggling the vision there for ThunderTalk. Their jungle is just so dark, the river ever expanding. Night. But we'll see. There's can't really be a Baron threat yet. The 25-minute mark, so 30 seconds away. Realm Warp coming down onto 1xN. It's Knight and Wei who gets the Ward Hop kick flash combination. That's why you lock in the Lee Sin. 1xN didn't have a chance in the world.
And with no MF, 1xN will have Infinity Edge and bullet time on respawn, but gotta imagine this is just Ahri wave clear duty for the next couple of seconds, and that's a big deal. Baron about to spawn for BLG, and they're gonna head straight there and rip it. We'll see if Bin walks up or ends up popping the TP. It's a bit of a dangerous walk for him. Hoya actually gonna preemptively TP as ThunderTalk down their 80 carry. You're gonna look to contest.
Keeper's Verdict, very valuable ultimate for Hoya to see who he can boot out, charging it up. Everybody on BLG respecting it. Cancelled by the Twisted Advance, and now Hoya's caught in the middle of all of BLG, but Own just gets eviscerated by Beichuan, gets his first reset, but the Lulu's not as useful as he would like, so he ends up falling, and Baron does not reset its health bar, so it's going to be secure there for BLG on to 4 to really stamp their lead and cement it.
Yeah, I just don't know how you come back as ThunderTalk with how far behind your solos are. It's a 2-level difference on both solo laners for BLG. Frankly, a little bit more of what we expected coming into the day. And do really like the draft that BLG ended up going for. I think that the flex of the Maokai top, I know it's like, oh, playing Lee Sin into a game with Poppy, that's a little bit dangerous. But hey, Lee Sin Ryze, really sound combo. That was the bridge to get that into the rest of the map, done really well. And now Ryze Maokai just cannot be killed. And the pressure that you get from both these champions, like, we haven't really even seen Maokai ults be thrown out yet. As 1xN looks like he missed the window for the cleanse flash, as you can cleanse flash out of those kicks, but maybe the chompers mess with that, or I'm not exactly sure, because that is something you can do. And that, yeah, wasn't able to get out of that one.
Now that siege that's so deadly in the 3-lane spot, like you called out, Cubby, gets even worse with this Baron. Dragon spawning as well. BLG should be a shoo-in. That's a really aggressive spot for Hoya to recall. Does throw away over the wall with him. Here's the Realm Warp, but you don't got to take it if you throw it down, and Knight's not going to make that mistake. So now the Dragon can commence and be properly shredded by the dicer that is Elk on 3 items of the Jinx.
Yeah, I think the end is just near here. Like, the next Twisted Advance with where Maokai's at, again, like, who is going to move Maokai this game? SeTab built completely to try and get on the back line, try and get a reset. The fact that Beichuan, like, even was able to get on, I was a little bit surprised about. But, of course, you saw what ends up when you take over Lulu. Unfortunately, not exactly the effect you're looking for as Viego.
As the Nature's Grass, Hoya doesn't commit the Keeper's Verdict once more. First inhibitor turret down. ThunderTalk got to take a chance, make a stand here. Beichuan commanding the front line, gets a stun down. Death Rocket throws out from Elk, and force Beichuan back to the base as the inhibitor falls next, and Knight had his own little vacation in the mid lane. Gonna find himself another turret. Structures falling like paper mache right now for ThunderTalk. They're going to have to find a stand. They're going to try to attempt the impossible.
Beichuan
Dumped by Cubby, but Bin does just not fall. Beichuan down first. Elk gets the reset, and now it's time to drop the hammer. Rockets after rockets, and we are going the distance, folks. 5 games between ThunderTalk and BLG for the top seed out of Group C.
Not exactly what we were expecting going into the night, but hey, I'm here for it. Good to see BLG paying a little bit more respect to ThunderTalk and playing out their comps rather well. Really like the pivot they had in this draft to pair up the opening of the Maokai, Jinx, Lulu. That's a really solid core you can play around. Then to have the Lee Sin and Ryze bridge when, you know, you're showing Viego Ahri, I think that's a mid-jungle duo that can really counter that, especially early. Saw BLG execute that really well with Knight. Well played. I think Knight, very deserved player of the game in this one, as his Ryze ended up being everywhere.
Everywhere, indeed. BLG, we called it after game number 3. It got a little bit shaky after a couple 2 skirmishes, some over-aggressive way engages, but this is the BLG that is stapled as a Titan of the LPL. And now we get the true test, right? This was ThunderTalk, you know, come out, catch them off guard. Now BLG are back, stanced how they want to be, ready to fight like Knights of the LPL, pun intended on that one. And I just hope ThunderTalk are able to get that mojo back for this Game 5 that has been lacking these last 2 games.
I just appreciate BLG showing more respect to ThunderTalk. Again, the first 2 games, it really did feel like BLG was just disrespecting the power that ThunderTalk had in their comp and when they had it. Thinking back to some of those fights, these games, I feel like BLG, like, they're the ones that played that comp out really, really, really well in that last game. Putting the Maokai in the lane swap scenario, he's so tough to dive and deal with. And you have Jinx, Lulu, one of the fastest pushing duos you can find early on in the bot lane where you have less turret resist. Like, Jinx first base with 4 plates. And then SeTab died to the Ryze Lee Sin, which is really tough to play against as Ahri. And your game was really tough from there from ThunderTalk, and they just never got going. Even finding a couple positive skirmishes when, for me, the game was already over like that early. I was surprised that ThunderTalk even played their way into the game as well as they did, even if it didn't feel like they ever really got into the game.
They creaked the door open, Cubby. They creaked it open. It was like, you know, it was like a certain event that happened a couple weeks ago when a certain guy started throwing some garbage touchdowns. It was like, let him have a little bit of fun, but the champs are to win the game. Yeah, and I mean, I just props to BLG. Like, again, I did not think that their Game 2 draft was winnable at all. That draft was, I think, very favorable. Again, like, you're playing a Poppy, Viego, Ahri, and the Maokai, Lee Sin, Ryze topside. You are never dying in that scenario later on as Maokai or Ryze. And you have a lot of ways to play into the Ahri and Viego, which are very positive for you. So, I'd like to see BLG lock it down, play some sound strats, even if, well, I don't know if I want to call Twitch Elite's a sound strat, but there's strats indeed, all right? This one for me was pretty sound. I think that their identity was really good, and sometimes in Fearless, it's just, you know, having an identity when you have so many champs missing is really valuable, right? Because you actually just have a way to play out the game when so many champs that you end up with later on, I think, are just a lot more narrow in where they're successful versus a lot of the champs that we see dominating competitive where it's like, okay, we're safer as blinds. We have a lot of different ways to play the game. Like, we'll pick a champ later on where we can kind of decide, like, what's up, right? Whereas in Fearless, I mean, the first couple champs you can pick, like, that can just define your entire comp. And I really feel like BLG, that Maokai Jinx through the core, really strong. The Ryze Lee Sin, great wrinkle that really answered TT well, and they played this out really well, too. It's going to be fun to track, intriguing to track in the Game 5 draft when we get there. Because I'm with you. When you get this deep, it's like, kind of just want to lean for either ease of execution or like comfortability on certain champions. Because with Fearless, that's usually enough to get you that critical win. As we look back at the highlights of this pretty easy to execute composition from BLG. These are the highlights of the couple good picks that did come across. We got the Feather Flash Encore to find some kills. They shut down Knight routinely, but when push came to shove, the XP lead, the gold lead on the tank, and the hyper carry Jinx really was just too much for ThunderTalk to bear. And hopefully they can just draft themselves into a spot where they can be as proactive as we saw them in those opening 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, like, These are scenarios where like TT are barely winning or coming out on top when, I mean, it's like 4v3, 5v3 for them. And then you just saw like the rest of the map, BLG were able to get resources and it was fine. And BLG, like, they're still not playing perfectly. Like, I think these are mistakes that they're making in the game, but still a lot more sound. And just like to see them respecting what each comp can do, and especially their comp strengths. And I know it's probably going to be a Knight MVP, but do want to shout out how well Ben played the early swap scenario. I think that just the fact you are Maokai, like, you can't dive as 3. If you dive as 3, you're going to trade someone out. You have to bring 4. That put a ton of pressure on ThunderTalk early on because Hoya can't do the same on the other side of the map, and BLG really took advantage of that. They got a lead mid, a lead bot so early in the game, and then like from there it's just GG.
You know, speaking on pressure, Cubby, does it feel like the pressure is now completely flipped back to ThunderTalk based off these last 2 games? You know, the younger roster.
Yeah.
I mean, we showed the graphic, right? They have only won 3 best of 5s as a collective organization ever.
A little bit. They haven't dropped any stinkers yet, though. Like, I think fighting the grubs there, like without Beichuan 6, might have been a little pressure showing. But again, they played their way back in okay, which tells me they're kind of keeping level heads. And keep in mind, you're TT. You're playing with house money. You already made it out of this group.
Oh,
like, that's decent for TT as an org. If you take down BLG, yes, that's monumental. Any pressure that you have, though, like, that's just an opportunity that you're going to face. So hopefully TT can view it like that. And they have an opportunity to do something really special, taking down BLG and taking down number 1 as...
Elk goes back to back.
I don't agree with that.
I mean, Deathless AD carry before. Yeah, I mean,
cool, man.
Cool.
Your numbers look good. You played Jinx behind a mid jungle duo that was hard winning, and a top laner up 2 levels, and we're giving you player of the game for like just sitting behind that and doing your job. Good job, Elk.
We're giving you
really nice.
We're giving you MVP for getting 4 free turret plates.
Oh, I kind of want to like show the replay and just flame. You know, like everyone. Like what Elk's doing, I don't know. I don't think Elk played bad. Like I will say
no.
The Super Mega Death Rocket that actually stopped the base bot, like that did secure them Otacon and pretty much finished the game. So that was a big play from Elk, even if it didn't lead the kills. But Knight Realm Warps were just running the entire map, man. Like where's the honor in that? I know Doinby Rise was played yesterday and it's good, but we got to honor some Knight Rise too, you know?
Yeah. A little bit of disrespect maybe coming out from those LPL voters, but we got to push all that to the back of the mind because here are the stakes when we return from our final intermission. We've gone from a ThunderTalk 2-0 to arguably our 2 most convincing wins from the 2-time champions BLG. When we come back, we have 40 champions off the board, even more after first phase bans, second phase bans, and our climactic conclusion to Group C. ThunderTalk, the Cinderella story, or the 2-time champions BLG. One of those 2 will be crowned Group C Seed 1 champions. We'll see you on the other side for that do or die.